This episode of the Nerd Corporation contains spoilers and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Nerd Corporation.
Greetings and salutations. It is Monday, and you know what that means.
It's podcast day.
Welcome to the Nerd Corporation. I'm Dr. Nick.
My name is Eddie Lyon.
And we are here to discuss the fandoms, all of the fandoms. Our fandoms, your fandoms.
Every one of the fandoms. If it has a language, if it has a code, it is a fandom, and you are a nerd for it.
If you spent your life collecting things of that, you're probably a nerd.
Absolutely.
I feel like we should come up with like a Jeff Foxworthy-esque type, you might be a nerd if.
Right.
If you ever collected action figures and then never took them out of the plastic to play with them, you might be a nerd.
If you ever watched 7 hours of wrestling intently and with so much excitement, you might be a nerd.
I'm so glad we got through that shit. 7.5 hours of fucking WrestleMania. Jesus Christ, dude.
It was a lot of wrestling.
Oh my god, and some of it wasn't even that great. I mean, there was a lot. Let's be real here. There was a lot to discuss regarding that, but at the same time, we didn't need all of that wrestling. Some of it was, I mean, we knew who was going to win that Bludgeon Brothers match. I didn't need to see it, and I didn't. I actually went outside, as previously discussed.
If you want to check that out, you can go back to our Podbean or to our YouTube and check out WrestleFuckingMania. Episodes 4A and 4B.
Both of them were a whole lot of fun to talk about. My voice was fucked up. I ain't even playing with you.
Let's get into the nerd news.
Let's get into the nerd news, Eddie Lyon. Once again, we record this a week in advance. So as of right now, Deadpool 2 tickets go on sale this Thursday, April 19th, which in the future, when you're listening to this, will be last Thursday, April 19th. Fucking amazing-ass movie. So unbelievably excited for this. I can't even express to you.
Absolutely. I am super excited for it. One of the things I'm really excited for is the formation of X-Force. In the comics, Cable forms X-Force, but they're giving the job to Wade this time, so I'm interested to see where that
I feel like there's only one man that can handle that job in cinematic form, and it is Wade Wilson.
Yes.
I saw the first movie 6 times in theaters, Eddie Lane.
Jesus.
I saw it on opening night at midnight, which was a really bad idea because the entire row behind me was like all college students. And they were all friends, and so literally like 20 people behind me were just yelling down the aisle, dude, did you fucking see that? Oh my god, this fucking movie. And I'm like missing jokes. So that's how I justified watching it 6 times in theaters. I'm like, I have to catch up on all of the shit that, Junior behind me was interrupting.
You had college kids behind you 5 times in a row?
No, I did the first time, but I justified it the next 5 times from that. Plus, I want to be a hipster about this, and I'm going to be a hipster about this. I was into Deadpool before Deadpool was fucking cool.
Oh, God.
And that shit is real. The only thing good that came out of that movie, besides the goddamn movie, was all the awesome Deadpool merchandise I can now purchase. Because, yeah, I was that motherfucker that was reading Deadpool back in the 90s and was loving that shit up to high heaven. So, super excited for Deadpool 2. I will probably see it at least another 6 times in theaters. Which, if I'm going for a record breaker, I should probably at least see it 9 or 10 times.
Deadpool comes out May 18th, and just like we said, at the recording of this podcast, April 19th is when you can start buying tickets for it.
So go buy them shits. What are you slacking for? Get your ass out there, corporation. Let the world know that you're going to see Deadpool.
Speaking of Deadpool, TJ Miller's in the news lately, right?
That was a hell of a segue, Eddie Lyon. Yes, TJ Miller is in the news right now, but not for what you would think. Apparently, he called in a fake bomb threat, and the FBI got his ass.
Wow.
Last Monday night at LaGuardia Airport in New York, he was arrested by the FBI and is facing charges of intentionally providing false information to authorities for claiming there was an explosive device on a train passing through Penn Station in New York on the way to Connecticut on March 18th. The U.S. Attorney's Office has stated.
Wow.
So
why would... That's crazy. And TJ Miller seems like such a docile creature.
Yeah, I feel like he probably felt like it was a harmless joke, because it's not like anybody was really going to get bombed. But damn, bro.
The FBI wasn't playing with it.
I almost feel like that's like a Nelson Muntz thing, where it's a victimless crime, like punching someone in the dark. Like, no. If convicted, he faces up to 5 years in prison and a huge substantial fucking fine. I don't want any of that. I feel bad for anybody that had to deal with the bomb threat, and then to find out that it came from Weasel. Maybe he was goaded into it by Ryan Reynolds. Maybe Ryan Reynolds was like, I dare you. You'll never do that.
You don't have the balls.
And then sure as shit, he was like, oh, you're Deadpool? Watch this. Bomb threat.
FBI.
Dude. So they did release him on a $100,000 bond.
Jesus.
So federal prosecutors said he called 911 on a female passenger who he stated has a bomb in her bag, and described the woman with brown hair and a scarf. When Amtrak investigators were alerted, the train was in Connecticut and was forced to stop in Westport. Wow. Just all of the wow.
All of the wow. Hey, can you imagine all the time that went into stopping the train, searching the train, clearing the train? I was just trying to figure out how many times I could say train in one sentence.
Let's talk about the band Train. Or let's run a train on some tamales.
Hey.
Shout out to Nerd Queen Supreme for my breakfast. We love you, girl. So anyway, further on in the news, our boy Gabriel Luna from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Who did he play in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Eddie?
He played Ghost Rider,
the
Robbie Reyes version.
Ghost Rider, the Robbie Reyes version. I feel like there's an echo in here.
Yeah, just a little one.
No, I'm really excited for that. I loved his portrayal of Ghost Rider. I actually was a huge advocate for that. I believe I came over and forced you to download it and pull it up right then so that we could watch it. I was just like, Eddie Lion, you need to Hulu that shit, and we need to goddamn watch some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I did it, and I did it.
And we did.
And it was wonderful.
Oh my god. The CG wasn't even that fucking terrible.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't.
Like, television CG is catching up. It's like early 2000s CG on television right now.
Right? This is like 2008, 2009 CG.
I'm okay with all of that. Some of the things that are like the Game of Thrones CG is on point.
Oh, yeah.
HBO got that good CG money.
Well, yeah, because it's HBO.
Hobo.
Not to be confused with Hobo Johnson.
No, fuck Hobo Johnson. So, Gabriel...
Maybe it's the thought of just watching HBO!
Gross. Don't ever do that shit again with your peach scones. You can fuck off. Fuck you, Hobo Johnson. I hope somebody fucking let you know that somebody in California, I'm looking at you, Yesie's brother. Go find Hobo Johnson and tell him I said to fuck off. That is the most
really
sincere.
Don't like Hobo.
I cannot stand that motherfucker. And he keeps coming up on my YouTube feed, and it's pissing me the fuck off.
I'm so happy for that.
Oh, God. He's like the last Terminator movie to me. He's dead. He's just... It's not fucking real. Gabriel Luna will star along returning alumni from the Terminator series, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And Linda Hamilton.
Really excited for the return of those two.
I'm more excited for the return of Linda Hamilton, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I want to see what they do with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator. I did like him returning in the last one, but at the same time...
It was just like a CG him.
Oh, God. But and you know who I didn't like in that movie?
Who?
Maybe it wasn't the last one or the one before, but the one with Christian Bale. I did not like Christian Bale in that movie.
You didn't? You didn't like Christian Bale as John Connor?
No. And at the same time, let it be noted, I'm also not a fan of Christian Bale's Batman.
I'm Batman.
No. None of that.
Where are the drugs? Swear to me.
No, none of this. Like, when those movies came out, my son would just walk around the house because he was younger then, and he'd just walk around going, oh, Baba. It was the worst fucking shit ever.
But without Christian Bale's Batman, we wouldn't have Bat Dad, and Bat Dad is hilarious.
Bat Dad is hilarious to you and my girlfriend, and that's about it.
No, like the rest of the world, just because your hipster ass doesn't like Bat
Ain't
Dad.
nothing wrong with not liking Bat Dad. I'm honestly just more jealous that I didn't think of it first.
Brush your teeth.
I could have been all of that, except it would have been like the shitty Salt Lake rapper version.
Did you wash your hands?
Learn your bars.
With soap?
Gross. All of that. Yeah, but I am really excited for Linda Hamilton to return. Fuck you, James Cameron. That was for you, Linda Hamilton. You deserved that.
Right.
Because they don't get along, you see.
Yeah.
They're not a thing.
James Cameron needs to take his ass to some kind of like movie boot camp.
He's like the Michael Bay of the 80s.
He is. Robot explosions!
Oh, God. All of that. I'm amazed there wasn't... Well, there probably was an explosion in Titanic. I didn't pay that much attention to that movie.
Yeah, neither did I.
And then, Avatar is coming out with its 20 sequels.
Yes.
That are all being filmed at once.
I'm so excited for those movies.
You're like the only one.
I am the only one. I love the Avatar
They've
movies.
waited like 20 years to put those sequels out.
My kids love Avatar.
Oh, because only kids can.
Right. Well, because it's like Fern Gully.
Yeah, but not as good.
I don't know.
They don't have a baddie Coda.
So what?
And there's no Hexus.
But they have Sigourney Weaver.
So fucking what?
It's Sigourney Weaver.
Finding Dory has Sigourney Weaver.
Exactly.
And that's about the only good thing she did since Aliens.
That's ridiculous.
Name one other movie Sigourney Weaver was good in since Alien.
Don't put me on the spot like
Ghostbusters, you failed, motherfucker. You just failed. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for you to be like Ghostbusters.
I'm sorry, corporation.
Yeah, look at you. You're grasping at straws. Sigourney Weaver can fuck off. I don't need you in my shit.
Let's continue with the nerd news.
Grumpy
ass.
Speaking of 2000 CG, I just watched Frighteners the other day on Saturday night, and then the next day R. Lee Ermey died on Sunday.
That's so sad, dude. Like if you've ever seen Full Metal Jacket or Toy Story or The Frighteners or anything that involved the drill sergeant's voice, you've probably heard R. Lee Ermey.
I bet you can suck a golf ball through a garden hose.
God damn, boy, I didn't know they stack shit that high.
Only thing that come from Texas is steers and queers.
What a fucking badass.
Just so unbelievably awesome. Every time that man ever touched the silver screen. Didn't he? He had his own show on History Channel for a while, didn't he? Where he went through and checked out like army tech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep.
And he'd just come through. Listen here, ass eyes.
Ass eyes.
Yeah.
The cool part about R. Lee Ermey was that he was actually a United States Marine. Like he joined at 17, and he was in, I think it was like aviation, it was aviation support, and then became a drill instructor. And he then, after a while, he just medically discharged in 1972.
He's just one of those awesome dudes that came out of that era who was a badass in the army and then did stuff in real life afterwards.
He was just such a badass.
Him and Mr. Rogers and fucking Bob Ross.
Right.
Like, all of these dudes had, kills under their belts. And then they came back from war and were just like, I'm a badass, look at me.
And the cool thing about him was, so he was discharged in 1972 as a staff sergeant. But then later on in 2002, he was granted an honorary promotion to gunnery sergeant. And I think he was the first ever retiree in history to be promoted. And it was crazy. But yeah, he was in, Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket. It's probably one of the only performances Kubrick ever let the actor improvise.
Why would you ever make R. Lee Ermey script anything? Like, that man off the top of his head every time, genius. Just superb.
Right? Rest in so much wonderful peace, R. Lee Ermey. Because
you fucking earned it, dude.
You fucking earned it.
You seriously, I mean, on the silver screen, you served the country in the shitty-ass Vietnam. Let me tell you something about the war in Vietnam.
You will be sorely missed.
I feel like that war has been relegated to Forrest Gump. Like, that's the only thing I now know about Vietnam is Forrest Gump.
And Lieutenant Dan.
Fucking Bubba had it rough, son. Anyway, so let's move on. And let's not move on. Real quick, to touch back onto the wrestling tip, our girl Paige retired last Monday night. The Monday night after Raw, she done wrestling. She let the world know.
Yeah, she's had a string of neck injuries, just about the same kind of neck injuries that made Edge retire, and so she kind of had to just hang up the boots, which is sad because as a wrestler, Paige is probably one of my favorite performers.
I honestly never really got in. Well, okay, so like I got into wrestling again like 2-3 years ago, and then Paige was gone out on injury, and then she was out for like the last year, and then she came back, and everybody was like, "Oh shit, son, Paige is back," and then now she's retired again, and honestly, dude, she's only like 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So that should say a lot. Like, my sister's that age.
Right.
And Paige is now retired. Like, she can't step in the ring as a competitor ever again.
But the cool thing about it is that the WWE, being the land of opportunity, made her SmackDown's new GM in lieu of Daniel Bryan returning to active competition.
I feel like that's not a good trade-off.
I don't know. We get Daniel Bryan. I think that's a pretty good trade-off. Paige is going to be... There's going to be somebody in her ear all the time.
Yeah, she just looks like awkward news girl to me. Like, Paige here. Nobody cares.
I do.
Of course you do.
And then we're going to
like women in leather.
We're going to see her in like these like nice business suits where her butt's going to be...
Mind you, we are pro-consent here at the Nerd Corporation.
Yes.
So, although we are excited to see Paige in stilettos and leather butt-grabbing pants, we would never intentionally grab said butt in leather pants, because that's just not how you work things. You got to have more game than that.
We're pro-consent here at the Nerd Corporation.
Just keep that in mind. So, moving on to the topic of the day, the man himself, Joe Quesada, Quesadilla,
Joe Quesada. I bet if you went
You're brown, get it right.
Quesada.
There you go. So anyway, Joe Quesada, awesome artist and writer and editor. He's been the head of Marvel for God knows how long. Like, it's 2018. I think he started it in 2000. He became their editor-in-chief or some shit. Mm-hmm. It was 2000. Mm-hmm. You know, looking at the facts, we have a fact sheet in front of us, and so I'm like going over things sporadically. Really, honestly, though, huge influence. Not even just in his pen, like his pencil work and his editorship. I guess what would you call that? What's the noun for being an editor?
Well, an editor.
In his editorial capacity, he's awesome. But yeah. Joe Quesada, definitely admirable. His whole career, like, God, everything that he's done, really, Eddie Line.
Yeah, everything he touches turns to gold. I mean,
he did some work on Valiant Comics.
Yep, yeah, Ninjak and Solar, Man of the Atom. He also did DC and Marvel Comics. He did Batman, Sword of Azrael, X Factor, and he formed his own company, Event Comics, and that's where we got Ash, which is, I think, their one and only publication.
But he ran with that shit, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Ash is a superhero alter ego of a firefighter named Ashley Quinn. It's crazy because it was just like, it's like in true comic book form. Ash was born from like a mysterious incident when Ashley was trapped inside of a burning building, and in that burning building there just so happened to be a regeneration chamber from the future. And
don't you love it when that happens?
Right.
I mean, I remember when I was a kid and I was trapped in a burning building, and all I was fucking hoping for that entire time was a regeneration chamber from the future.
Ash has the ability to use a bunch of, like flame-based weapons. Like, he had these gauntlets and he'd pull these like flame blades out of, and he can also control and absorb flames and fire. He has superhuman strength and durability. And he draws his power from flames and fire inside his body, which reach up to 12 160 degrees Fahrenheit.
And his name is Johnny Storm, and he will be known as the Human Torch.
Pretty much.
I love these most of these artists come up with their own independent characters, their own creator-owned characters. One of the most famous artists to ever do that, Todd McFarlane, came out with Spawn. And if you don't know about Spawn, you need to get out there and read that shit as well.
Shout out to Michael Jai White for accurately portraying Spawn as much as he could in the 90s.
I feel like Michael Jai White just is Michael Jai White as every character he ever is. Is Bronze Tiger, he was Michael Jai White. Is fucking
Black Dynamite,
he was Michael Jai White.
Who the fuck is interrupting my kung fu?
Yeah. And Billy, I done told you not to call and interrupt my kung fu. That's like the worst Michael Jai White impression ever.
It really is.
My Donald Trump impression is better than that, and I do a shitty Donald Trump impression.
You do.
I'm not even going to do it because I don't want the Nerd Corporation to be sullied with that shit.
Back to Joe Quesada. In 98, he became editor of Marvel Comics' Marvel Knights line before becoming editor-in-chief of the company in 2000. And he was named Chief Creative Officer of Marvel in 2010.
That's not even just like Marvel the comics. That's Marvel Entertainment.
It's just like the whole thing.
That's so like a lot of what you've seen in the MCU, Quesada had a thumbprint on.
Right. And then he left his editor-in-chief role in 2011, being replaced by Axel Alonso.
For some reason, my dyslexia kicks in whenever I read that, and I see Alex Alonso.
Yeah.
And I have to remember, Axl Rose does the snake. Sweet child of mine. Yes, Axel Alonso.
And at his retirement, he was the longest-serving Marvel editor-in-chief other than Stan the Man Lee.
Stan, we fucking love you. And if you don't know out there, Nerd Corporation, Stan Lee's been going through some troubles. The man is 92 and apparently is a victim of elderly abuse.
Yeah. His
is,
manager, his last name is Olivares. I don't care to know his name because
his first name's Yolanda.
Yeah. Right? Jesus. Shout out to Selena.
Fuck you, Yolanda. I'm on one today.
But, so Stan, we love you. We hope you get through everything. We hope you move in with Kevin Smith, because if you don't, we will. We love you.
What's this? We're moving in with Kevin Smith now? Sign me the fuck up.
Right.
Let's talk about a little bit of what Joe Quesada has done. He is most famous for creating 3 of Marvel's top imprints. Marvel Knights being the aforementioned awesome fucking imprint that we all love. Was aimed at older readers with Jimmy Palmiotti, Pat Morita.
Yeah, Jimmy Pat Morita.
Jimmy Pat Morita, before his tenure as editor-in-chief. The Marvel Knights team was a team name given to Daredevil's unnamed superhero team, which seems something fitting, because if you don't have a name for your superhero team, you should probably get one of those.
Yeah. Besides Daredevil, the lineup consisted of Black Widow, Dagger, Moon Knight, Shang-Chi, and Luke Cage.
I love that they added Shang Tsung and Liu Kang
Yeah.
to the lineup. I mean, that's really just, a broad spectrum of characters. That just right there, I don't know shit about Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
I need to do some research on that because I didn't even know that was a character. I feel like that's what Marvel's going to do. They're going to pull out some random ass character next. Yeah. And they're going to be like, Shang-Chi, Mortal Kombat reunited, and it's understood.
Your soul is mine.
Yeah. So, in all seriousness, though, initially this team was formed to capture the Punisher, and honestly, I love that. I love when anybody has to go after the Punisher, because I feel like it's Home Alone, but in the city. Like, all of the city is Macaulay Culkin's domain when anybody goes after the Punisher.
Oh my god. In 98, Marvel Comics, which had just filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, asked Quesada to work for Marvel in a more exclusive capacity, and they contracted him and his Event Comics partners to produce a line of Marvel books called the Marvel Knights.
One of the early things that I loved about, I think, the first Daredevil movie was it came out, if you watch the pre-credits, like the opening credits, somewhere in there it says Marvel Knights, to just kind of like let you know the Quesada touched it.
Yeah, right. Quesada's just like, I'm gonna let y'all know I did this and just give me a little point.
But at the same time, Banana Fleck ruined that movie.
I don't know. I'm actually a mark for that movie.
Really?
I am.
What was it that you were a mark for? His and what's her name's real life romance? Jennifer
Gardner.
fucked him up.
Jennifer Gardner. No, I was young and I loved Daredevil.
I was young. I was,
I was
a huge
young
fan of Colin Farrell.
And I did actually like Bullseye.
He was so fucking cheesy in that
He
movie.
really was. No, that movie is horrible, on the whole. Like, you know what I mean?
On paper, it doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
But in the year 2000 or whatever, when that movie came out, it was on point. I'm not
you know what I mean?
That whole cheesy ass fucking "I can see you when it rains" shit was dumb though.
Yeah, even I at my young impressionable age was like, oh, come on.
That's stupid. I think it was Garbage that did that song, "I'm Only Happy When It Rains."
Yeah.
And that's what that scene was. Garbage. So yeah, I'm so happy that Daredevil has gone back to Marvel, like, in full capacity. Love the Netflix series. Unbelievable fucking show.
Yep.
If you're not, I'll tell you how good that fucking show is. My sister's dad, who my entire fucking youth told me that comic books were a waste of time, and like totally hated all of my nerdmanship, video games, all of the above, hit me up randomly and was like, "Have you seen Daredevil on Netflix?" And I was like, "Yeah." I also read the comics, and I played with the toys that you threw away, and all of the stuff that you hated. So maybe you should go play Street Fighter now.
Nerdmanship. I like that.
TM on nerdmanship. Is editor of Marvel Knights, Quesada worked on a number of low-profile characters, such as Daredevil, Punisher, the Inhumans, and Black Panther, encouraging experimentation and using his contacts in independent comics world to bring in creators such as David W. Mack, Mike Oeming, I guess? I don't
Oeming. I would say Oeming.
You're going to say Oeming. The man himself, Brian Michael Bendis.
Check out episode 1, The Man Without Fear.
Totally recommend. That's one of my favorite episodes. Probably because we're on it in some capacity. As well as Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon.
Quesada also illustrated a Daredevil story with Kevin Smith, and that's my second favorite Daredevil story arc aside from Man Without Fear.
I just love anything that Kevin Smith touches. I feel like he needs to do more with comic book stuff. Like, one of the two, Marvel or DC, needs to bring Kevin Smith on for a fucking movie. He's already done The Flash. He's directed like 3 episodes of The Flash.
And they were awesome.
All 3 of them. And I need more of this. I need like 2.5 hours, let's say, of Kevin Smith in comic books. Did you know that he had done that Superman movie that never came out with Nicolas Cage?
Really?
He wrote that fucking script.
I didn't know that.
By the way, Nicolas Cage's Superman is always a bad idea. You should never, ever make Nicolas Cage Superman.
Nicolas Cage is a superhero in general. I mean, we saw Ghost Rider.
He will forever be Con Air to me.
Right.
Even in Ghost Rider, I was expecting him to just kick Steve Buscemi in the teeth.
No, I was in Ghost Rider, I was expecting there to be like some forcible scene of a burglar on a woman. We are pro consent here at the Nerd Corporation. And I wanted him to like grab the dude by the collar, lift him up in flame face, and be like, "You don't treat women that way."
I would have liked that movie so much more had that been the case. I do want to say that neither of those actually, I believe the Ghost Rider movies, or at least one of them, had the Marvel Knights logo at the beginning of it as well.
I would imagine so.
Which is sad because I feel like those movies could have been the first crossover series, because I think they were both owned by Fox, if I'm not mistaken. And Fox can suck a dick until Disney finishes that purchase. Cause
Monopoly.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I don't have a problem.
I'm down with Disney monopolizing everything
entertainment.
entertainment.
Disney done wrong at this point? They've done all of your favorite fucking childhood movies. Don't act like you didn't love The Little Mermaid. They took over Star Wars, And they fixed that shit because look what George Lucas did with it in the early 2000s. God, dude.
Jar Jar.
The Phantom Menace. That's all I should have to say. Worst fucking Star Wars movie ever.
Phantom Man-ass.
Oh my god, it was so gross. And you can fucking fight me over this shit, Corporation. Don't even care.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace is the worst out of the Skywalker saga.
Agreed.
Followed by the other two, which weren't as bad, but still weren't that good.
Agreed.
So anyway, yeah, Disney can buy that shit. I don't care. I wish Disney would buy DC and fix that fucking shit, because that's a heap of fucking mess that needs to be blown the fuck up out of the world.
Fix your movie game.
God, it's so horrible.
It's
every
frustrating.
fucking time, dude. Every time I see the DC announces a new movie, I'm just like, no, stop. Fix your shit first. Get some people in there that know what the fuck they're talking about. For God's sakes, just let Jeff Johns do his job and quit letting fucking corporate people shit on shit. Anyway, fuck you, Warner Brothers. Moving on.
Fuck you, Warner Brothers.
There was also the Marvel Max imprint, which was aimed more at adult readers, which he worked with our favorite dude, Brian Michael Bendis. We love you, Brian Michael Bendis. If you're listening to this, please get back to me on Twitter. I have questions for you. They did titles like Alias in 2001. They fucked with Howard the Duck. If you don't know, Howard the Duck is actually the first Marvel movie. Came out in like 85, I want to say. It came out after Star Wars because George Lucas fucked with it too, I think.
Yeah.
Speaking of Disney and George Lucas and whatever. Didn't that star your favorite mom from Back to the Future?
Yes, Leah Thompson.
Oh my god. I
Leah
love Leah Thompson. You almost get to see like interspecies erotica in that movie.
Yeah, you do.
Because, you know, she gets down with the duck. If she wants some of that duck.
Yeah, she does.
She swallowed all of the duck.
Ew.
It was orange duck. What? You can't fucking hate on that. Trump's an orange duck.
Yeah.
Oh.
The Punisher.
Deadpool. They did some Wolverine. There was even a Thor Viking comic that they had come out with in the middle of all of that series.
That's cool.
So I love any comic that's aimed at adults because that just means there's going to be more swearing, and I love my swear words.
Yeah, you do.
The Nerd Corporation preserves the right to speak freely, and fucking A right if we don't.
Fucking A right. Back to Quesada though. They also had a hand in the Ultimates, right?
Yeah, the Ultimates premiered in 2000 and was more like the teen-friendly imprint.
Mm-hmm.
I was really into the Ultimates when they first... If it wasn't for the Ultimates, we wouldn't have Sam Jackson as Nick Fury.
It's true.
So he started in the Ultimates line with Brian Michael Bendis. That name just keeps popping up. I feel like, you know, we should do a podcast on him. Again, see episode 1. And then as well as Mark Millar, who did a whole lot with the X-Men. And I feel like if they would just allow Mark Millar to write some X-Men movies, we would get some decent fucking X-Men movies.
Absolutely.
Are we getting a new X-Men movie this year?
Yes.
We're getting a new adaptation of the Phoenix Saga.
Yeah.
Please don't fuck this one up, Fox. You did great with Logan. You did pretty good with Days of Future Past. But please don't do anything more like, what was that one with Apocalypse? X-Men Apocalypse?
Oh, God.
Oh, God. You almost had a good thing there, and then you fucked it up.
The only good thing to come out of X-Men Apocalypse was the Phoenix and this Dark Phoenix saga.
And at the end, remember they did the classic X-Men costumes?
Oh, yeah.
That I was finally like 12-year-old me was like, they finally did it. They've been doing this shit since 2000, and they finally gave us accurate X-Men costumes, not some black leather fucking bullshit. Why do superheroes have to be into S&M all the fucking time in movies? Everything is black and leather. Just, it's turning into wrestling for me.
It's turning into like a bad Rihanna video.
It's no more with the umbrella, Ella.
Hey. The 2015 Secret Wars storyline concluded the Ultimate Marvel imprint. In the plot, it was destroyed alongside all other alternate realities in the multiverse, and then recreated as a region of the Battle World. Ultimate End, set in the Battle World, is the last story of the Ultimate imprint. It was produced by Bendis and Bagley. the team that started the imprint.
Again, anything that Bendis touches, gold.
Absolutely.
Just an amazing creative talent. And then you pair him up with the man himself, Joe Quesada, whose art skills are through the fucking roof.
Absolutely. I really love Quesada's art skills. The best way to describe them for me would be 90s LA noir.
Yeah. You know, I think... Did you see that Superman... Didn't I send you a Superman picture that Quesada posted on Twitter where he was bored? And it's funny, too, because it's Superman, very obviously. But then to the left of it, you see on their own stationery, it says Marvel. And I just kind of laughed at that. I'm like, look what you did there.
And it's funny because, like, Quesada drew Superman and Bendis is writing for Superman.
I feel like they could come together and be like the Mega Powers.
Absolutely. What you gonna do, brother, when Bendis and Quesada come after you?
It just sounded like an awesome commercial for a Mexican platter.
The new Bendis Quesada here at Chili's.
I will buy this. Let's go to Chili's right now. On June 2nd, 2010, Marvel announced that it promoted Joe Quesada to Chief Creative Officer of Marvel Entertainment. In this position, Quesada will help ensure that all portrayals of Marvel characters and stories remain true to the essence of their history, which I think is a huge reason for those movies being as successful as they are. Because honestly, who better to fucking make sure that you're kicking out the characters properly than the man who was editor-in-chief for so long anyway?
Exactly.
That's literally been his job, to make sure that the shit was good.
Right. And, you know, he's also going to oversee creative aspects of media adaptations of Marvel properties, which include participating in story and script development.
See, they need to just do that like with Jeff Johns, how they have Jeff Johns over at Warner Brothers. They just need to make sure that he's the one that controls the shit and gives us the stories that we fucking want, instead of this jumping around bullshit. Fuck you, Warner Brothers.
Fuck you, Warner Brothers.
And you know what's funny about this? Like, if you look back at it, Eddie Lyon here is more the Marvel fan than I am. And I'm a huge Marvel fan, but Eddie Lyon is not so much into DC like I am.
No.
So you would think that I'd be the one that's just defending DC up and down the block. No, man. No, because you saw how they did Killer Croc, right? Pfft, fuck you. They fucked up Killer Croc too.
They fucked it all up.
They fucked it all up, and they're continuing to fuck it up. I will slander them up and down the board until Disney buys them and we get good DC movies.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like Disney's going to look at him and be like, hey, Jeff Johns is in charge now. Fuck everything else that you're doing. Jeff Johns being the DC alternative to Joe Quesada.
On January 4th, 2011, Quesada stepped down as editor-in-chief and was replaced by Axel Alonso, after being given the additional job of CCO in 2010.
Funny thing about Axel Alonso, his name almost sounds like Axl Rose, and not really though. It's just that's how I have to liken them, because like I said, I keep
reading Alex.
Yeah, and my dyslexia, that's just how it works. It's like Alex Alonso, and it's not. I have to remember it's like Kingdom Hearts, where all of the nobodies have their names replaced with an X thrown there randomly in there. That's how we got Roxas from Sora. Oh, if you did not know that.
I did not know that.
Yes. All of the nobodies in the Kingdom Hearts storyline have an X thrown into their original person's name. And then it's jumbled up.
That's fun.
Yeah. That's a little side note there that has nothing to do with anything, but it's nerdy, so fuck you. The first comic book that Joe Quesada became an ardent fan of was The Amazing Spider-Man, which he began reading around issue 98, which was the last issue of a historic anti-drug storyline, and it just so happened that his dad appreciated that, because there aren't many dads, aside from my own, out there that are like, go do drugs.
Right. I really like the fact that it was Amazing Spider-Man, simply for selfish reasons, just because I started with Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is one of my favorite Marvel characters.
I think everybody starts with Spider-Man. I don't think that there is a person out there that if you're like, hey, Spider-Man, there isn't a storyline they can't pull up that they love.
Speaking of
a character, a villain, rogue of sorts.
Speaking of Spider-Man, the new game comes out. In September.
Oh, I'm so ready for all of this. If you haven't played any of the Spider-Man games on any console, you have not lived.
Yeah, I have not run into a Spider-Man game that I personally didn't like.
That was one of those first games that I ever played that I didn't care about anything else that was going on in the game.
Right.
I just spent all my time swinging around New York City looking for shit to do. I'm just like, I'm Spider-Man. Spider-Man, doing whatever a spider can. Oh, look, it's a giant building. I'm going to climb up to the top of it and leap off and wait till I get right to the ground to fucking swing out with some webs.
Oh, man, I used to get smushed so many times trying to do that.
The Empire State Building was and will be my hangout.
Yeah.
When that game comes out. I've honestly considered pre-ordering it just for the extra skins. I feel like they'd better do some like past video game shit where you could actually earn the shit in game and not fucking everything be paid DLC. I'm so tired of paid DLC.
I'm more tired of like the microtransaction thing than I am. Like I don't mind paying $15 for a DLC if it's good. Like, give me some skins, give me an extra storyline, throw in an add-on here and there, cool. But if I have to like pay to unlock a piece of the city, you can fuck off with all of that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan at all. To this day, Spider-Man remains a character that Joe Quesada particularly enjoys drawing. Just FYI, he majored in illustration at the School of Visual Arts, from which he graduated with a BFA in '84. And though he drifted away from comics, having come to think of them as a child's medium, his interest with them was renewed at 25 when one of his really good friends renewed his interest by showing him Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, which is a great... I own that book.
I love The Dark Knight Returns. It's such a... The future Batman has a mustache, is old, and dealing with being old, and not being Batman anymore. You gotta figure he spent most of his life fighting crime and getting that adrenaline rush, and now he's old and he ain't doing shit.
The animated movie was really good too.
I enjoyed the fuck out of it.
It was definitely better than the Killing Joke adaptation.
I can honestly agree with you on that one. That is definitely something I will agree with. I was not a fan of the Killing Joke one, as we have discussed. The one thing I didn't like but ended up liking that it and eventually grew on me was that The Dark Knight Returns was a 2-part movie.
Mm-hmm.
But after the fact, I feel like they couldn't have done it any other way. There was just way too much shit to fit into that fucking film for there to just do a 1-part. Not a thing. So it's nice to know that Joe Quesada also appreciates the Batman.
Yep.
Being that he also came up with the, what was that, Blade of Azazel?
Mm-hmm.
No, was it?
Or Azrael?
Azrael, that's what it was.
Sword of Azrael.
Sword of Azrael. So I have Eddie Lyon here to correct me. Because damn.
Right? You're going to get shit.
I can hear it now.
Oh, man. In 95, Kevin Smith did Mallrats, and Quesada is credited as an artist for the opening sequence.
Have you seen Mallrats?
I have seen Mallrats.
So that alone is awesome. They go through a whole lot of Marvel Comics covers and replace them with characters from Mallrats. So I didn't know that Quesada had done that, and it makes more sense now having... Because Mallrats is like one of my top 3 Kevin Smith movies.
Agreed.
Chasing Amy being the first, and I'm probably like one of the only people I know that says that, but Chasing Amy is my favorite fucking Kevin Smith movie. It's super ahead of its time, super political, and just influential as far as like LGBT rights and everything and portrayal goes.
It's true.
And, Banana Fleck's in it. So, fucking why not? I love pretty much anything that dude touches, too.
Speaking of Chasing Amy, Quesada appears in the closing scene of Chasing Amy, along with Paul Miotti, signing comic books at a convention. And he later appears as a pizza delivery man in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Well, that's funny because I didn't know that Pat Morita was in Chasing Amy.
Yeah, Mr. Miyagi's in everything.
So I'm definitely going to have to go back and look at that because if you didn't know, Chasing Amy is about a pair of aspiring comic book writer and artist homies that meet an awesome lesbian chick. One of them falls in love. Hilarity ensues, and then Joe Quesada is at a signing in the end. Great movie, awesome. I'd say for me it goes Chasing Amy, Dogma, Mallrats. Top 3 Kevin Smith movies.
For me, it goes Clerks, Dogma, Chasing Amy.
Okay, all right. I thought we were gonna have an argument there, but not a thing. So obviously Joe Quesada has been everywhere in the comic book world. He recently did a portrait of Jessica Jones.
Yes.
For the last season of that. And then he also did a Luke Cage one in 2016. Mm-hmm. So he stays ever active in the comic book community. Yeah. I recommend you follow him on Twitter because he's always posting awesome artwork, random sketches. He did one of Wolverine the other day, and I thought it was Batman because he had just done the Superman one. And so I came upon it and was just like, so now you're just drawing DC characters. That's cool.
Is that just what you do?
Are you hinting at something here, Joe Quesada? Are you going to join Brian Michael Bendis at DC?
One can only hope.
The distinguished competition, as they refer to them at Marvel.
If you want to follow Joe Quesada at Twitter, you just follow at Joe Quesada, JoeQueusada.
You heard him, Joe Quesadilla. It's damn near spelt the same.
Just go to Taco Bell and order a quesada.
Yes, hello, I would like a Joe Quesadilla. I don't know why I would order like that from Taco Bell. That was not even an accurate portrayal of how. Usually I just walk out and I'm just like, oh, could I get like 5 of them tacos and like 3 burritos and a Mexican pizza, and smother it in wasabi sauce.
See. Just give me all the things. I love Quesada's work on Daredevil. Daredevil was probably one of my favorite Marvel characters. And I love his work in Daredevil, although I really do prefer more of the Malieve, just the dark and gritty Daredevil.
Less polished.
Yeah, it's just like the less polished look. Quesada makes him look really polished, boy bandy almost. Like,
and you can see that in the Ultimates line. A lot of that comes through in his artwork there. I think that's one of the things that kind of grabbed me with the Ultimates when I first saw like the hints for it and everything, was a little more of the, I think polished is definitely the word for it, because the characters don't look very grimy or gritty at all. Even the Thing looks less gritty, and that's one hell of a hard thing to do, because when it's clobbering time, you don't want to be worrying about your manicure.
He did a variant cover for House of M's #1 where it's Scarlet Witch and her face is just kind of like pixelating and dematerializing, which I've seen was like cool.
Yeah, I think that's like I said, dude. As far as his artwork goes, dude's on point. I'm definitely gonna have to get into this Ash book as you were looking into that one. Definitely go check out Joe Quesada. Go look at the Marvel Knights line. It's super iconic and very dark. Which is funny to say like that. It's super iconic and very dark. You should totally go read the Marvel Knights line, because Daredevil getting all bloody and slamming faces.
Yeah, and then like what is it? One more day that he does the Ultimate Spider-Man where Aunt May gets shot, and that was just like super. And it's crazy because like we talk about how polished things are, but he can also do the gritty. The shadows that he uses in his penciling in One More Day is like way cool, way dark. There's just one part where Iron Man is completely encased in web, and it just looks way cool.
Yeah, life is good as Spider-Man unless you have an uncle and an aunt, and they're allergic to bullets.
Right.
Which is something that you should go get inoculated for if you have an allergy to bullets, as they will kill you. So, yeah, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Marvel Knights, Ghost Rider, Punisher, Shang Tsung, Liu Kang.
Thank you, Quesada, for everything that you do.
All of the above. Glad to have been able to cover this episode and really get a more in-depth look at one of my favorite artists from Marvel. And to be quite honest, I'm just a fan of what he's done with the MCU. You can't have the impact that they've had Quesada not had a touch on that. Had his fingers in that cookie jar, which is great. So that wraps it up for Joe Quesada. If you want to get a hold of us, you can find us on social media. Facebook, The Nerd Corporation, Twitter and Instagram at Nerdcorp Podcast, or you can email us at nerdcorppodcast@gmail.com.
And for those of you looking to continue the journey into Eternia and obtain the power of Grayskull,
or if you're just another Thundercats hoe,
please join our Patreon at patreon.com/Nerdcorp Podcast.
We have several tiers of loot to be had, from ringtones and giveaways to shoutouts and bonus episodes.
Speaking of bonus episodes, this month's bonus episode will be available this Wednesday to our $10 subscribers. In a galaxy far, far away, where space is the final frontier, we play battle shots to decide the dominant fandom.
Star Trek or Star Wars? Booze and nerds discussing opposing fandoms. What could go wrong?
I'll be on the Star Wars side.
And I will take the Star Trek side.
And whoever wins battle shots
will be the dominant fandom.
That's right.
I'm really excited for this, I'm not going to lie. Only because I kick ass at Battleship. And so battle shots, prepared to get drunk.
Yeah, like you're good at Battleship. I'm good at shots.
Yeah, you are. Let's do all of the battle shots. I'm down as fuck. We'll have to post our ships that we chose in the description for that episode. So please go join and subscribe to the Patreon so that you can find this awesome episode that we're going to be doing. Our question of the week for an upcoming Pokemon episode we had requested will be, if you had to pick your favorite starter Pokemon, what would it be? And we've narrowed the choices to generations 1 through 3. Eddie Lyon and I will be talking that up in, I think it's 2 weeks we're doing that episode.
Mm-hmm.
So be ready, because it's going to be the very best, like no one ever was.
We'd like to apologize to Scarlett Johansson for not being able to get you in this week. Hopefully you can come back at another time and discuss Ryan Reynolds with us.
Anytime that you want to come and discuss anything with us, I think we're okay with that. So once again, sorry ScarJo, and for the Nerd Corporation,
my name is Eddie Lyon,
and I'm Dr. Nick.
Till next Monday, may the Force be with you.
Live long and prosper.
May the Force be with you.
God damn it, Eddie Lyon!
What the
I told
fuck,
you we were
dude?
gonna
I'm
do
just
this fucking
trying to
Star
do the
Trek.
thing.
Why are you